Claims. It looks like we have blight claims on the agenda, but we don't have any blight claims this meeting. So we just have the regular city's payments this month. We have
170 something?
$176,744.29. I know, looking through it, we have lots of gas payments were in, looked like. Just like fuel payments, and we had the golf carts that the city purchased from the Golf Pro. And some, let's see, is there anything else that stuck out?
No, nothing special.
Okay. Is there any questions from the board? Any questions from the public? All right, do I have a motion to accept the payment of the claims?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Our city attorney could not make it this meeting. I think he is out of town today, I believe. And so, and also we have our deputy city clerk with us, Lori Hawk, because Tish is at a training in Muncie today. So, moving on to old business, we have none. Under new business, we have a request for permission to put a shaved ice machine on the property owned by Mike Soblisk near the Riverwalk by Kathy Zierig, I think. Zering, I'm sorry. Steve, you spoke with her. And we talked a little bit about that.
What they're wanting to do is take like a food truck type thing with the trailer and set it on privately owned property and do a shaved ice trailer. They didn't want to put a permanent fixture in, something that they can decorate, put picnic tables around, make it presentable, and then pull it out in the winter months. Not real sure if it even comes in front of this board or not. This is just where they were led to start out with. I don't know. We talked about maybe being zoning, or I know they've done a lot of research. They've already went to the Board of Health, got all that stuff dealt with. Anything that they need on that end, they're there. It's just more of, do they have permission to be able to put the trailer on private property?
Yeah. And I talked to the zoning administrator, Ms. Lepler, before the meeting, and we agreed that it's probably needs to be something that goes before the planning commission. Even at that, I don't know, like you said, it's on private property, and if they've got the proper licenses and it's zoned for it, I don't know what permission they'd need. The only thing that even resembles what it is the roadside stand, but I don't know that it would fall in that definition, so.
If they're gonna leave it there all summer,
Yeah.
is that the game plan?
Yeah.
Then it shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, I mean,
It's on the private property. Now, does the person owning it also own that property?
no.
They're leasing the property from the person?
Here it's just they have permission. I don't know what the finances are on it, but they actually have written permission from the landowners. And it is own business.
So that, I don't see where it'd make a bit of difference at all.
The only thing I could think of was our trailer ordinance. You cannot park a trailer in the grass. So because it is a trailer, they're going to have to put gravel down, which they already anticipated putting a gravel lot in and putting picnic tables and stuff out. And they'd even said they wanted enclosed, like skirting around it to where it looks more like a permanent fixture than just a trailer sitting in the yard.
See an issue, I'll look it up.
Okay. Well, I think tentatively we'll send them your way unless we hear back from the planning commission to say otherwise.
That'll work.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Next.
Do we need to do anything with that, or is that just?
Just direct them to.
Yeah, I wouldn't take any action on it. So we'll just move to the next. We have Carrie Young with Relay for Life. Carrie, would you like to talk to us at all about your, which event is this?
Sure. This is the relay for the actual the river walkway, but every year for the last 6 years, we've always decorated the poles downtown in like different colors, like the purple usually is what we've done. So we always come in just to make sure it's okay. We do it about I think we scheduled it for like May the 5th, and then we'll take them all down on the 23rd, so it's the week after the relay's done, so.
Okay.
I think it's, like I said, it's either our 5th or 6th year. I forgot last time when I was here to actually include that, so that was kind of my fault.
No
The
problem.
girls mentioned it, that, oh, are we doing the polls? I forgot, I forgot about that, so.
Right, yeah. Yeah, and we do this, we've been doing it for a number of years, and it's just the ribbon around the light poles, the black decker light poles.
Yep.
Yeah. And then, do you guys have any needs that you need from the city, like, you don't need assistance with that or anything? Okay. Is there any other questions from the board?
No, it hasn't been problematic
Mhm.
since we've been on this board, so you guys do a great job.
A lot of people thought they were doing it to represent Prince one year.
That's right, we
I
did.
didn't bring that up.
'Cause,
I was gonna say,
yeah.
We did do that one year.
Yeah, I saw on Facebook, they thought that it was nice that the mayor put up pink, or purple ribbons throughout the city to commemorate Prince passing.
We're actually going to do different colors this year because we usually normally do purple because that's generally relay.
Uh-huh.
But we wanted to try to include some of the other people that are locally that have different forms of cancer, and we're going to do like orange and gray and some
Oh,
other
nice.
different colors this year too. So kind of make it a little bit more, a little different this year.
Gotcha. All right. Any other questions from the board?
No.
Anything from our chiefs or anything from the public? All right. Do I have a motion to accept the request from Relay for Life for decorating the poles?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate it coming back. Next, we have Jerry Jenkins from Miami County, Indiana, worth remembering. You have request for us?
Yes, did.
Would you like to speak? You can come up and talk to us, and
Okay, sure. Sir, do you sit down or you stand up?
it'll make it easier for all the folks at home to hear us. Yeah.
Let me give you, this is our new poster.
Great, thank you.
How are you? My name is Jerry Jenkins. I am with a nonprofit called Miami County, Indiana, Worth Remembering. We are a 501(c)(3). We've received an endorsement from the Indiana, it's hard to remember, a World War I Centennial Committee in Indianapolis. The centennial is in honor of 100 years of the World War I ending. It happened for America in 1917, 1918, and 1919. Miami County was instrumental in the war because they did a lot of things that they had to contribute money. World War I was financed through money that was raised. It wasn't a credit card war like we have today. They had bonds, Liberty bonds. Everybody saved tin cans, everything they could save in order to make it through the war. All the men went to war in one way or another. They were enlisted. They had a very gung-ho spirit, a very high spirit of patriotism, or they were either drafted or they enlisted. The women were left holding the bag. Women of Miami County carried the county, especially through 1918. 1918 is significant because there was a influenza flu epidemic. Many of the doctors left, the nurses left, so the citizens of Miami County, primarily women, were left taking care of the county. We find, in our research, we have found over 3,000 cards that women filled out. There were 8,000 women who filled these cards out, giving their support to the county in one way or another. They listed their skills on the card, whether they could knit, sew, whether they could clean, whether they could take care of children, whether they could help with church finances, they could do patriotism things. So many things that women volunteered to do. On top of losing their loved one, they had to run the house, and then they had to go to work because there were not enough laborers in the market. So in our research and the things as a nonprofit history-based organization, we concluded that this would be the right time to honor women of World War I. In doing so, we found a place that we thought would be honorable to place a stone in their memory, and that's right next to the Doughboy, and that's the, this was one of my exhibits. We thought that would be a great place. Well, here we are. We've raised the money, we've paid off the stone, we've got the plaque done. Troy Caldwell has helped us create that. We know where it's going to go. But now on May 12th, we would like to have a public event to honor them. Just so happens that that particular stone is right on the corner between the intersections. Every time I go by, I said, that's a nice place for it to be seen, but it may be a difficult place for us to put a crowd of people. We are going to, on May 12th, we hope to get 200, 300, 400, 500 people. I don't know how big I can make the crowd, but I think I can do a pretty good job bringing people in. We're going to have public speakers, proclamation, music, band, prayers, a gathering of people. I have groups of women who are now going to be dressed up in period apparel. And one lady has told me she's going to make her own dress. So we're going to have quite a crowd, we hope. As soon as people are done with the ceremony, then they will come over or go over, make their way over to the museum. And this museum's too small to hold 200 or 300 people. So we hope to do that on the outside. In talking to the commissioners, and Larry West is doing the coordinating with us, at least we can get some picnic tables, we can get our chairs, we can serve coffee, and we're going to, how many, does anybody here know how much 2 bits is? A quarter. So we're going to offer a cup of coffee for 2 bits. And the trick is, do you know what 2 bits is? So this is kind of what we have in mind. So the reason I'm here today is that I like to close the streets down. Don't know how to do that, don't know the problems in doing that, and I don't know if, in fact, we get a very important speaker coming, what security issues we have. So that's really why I'm here today, is to ask your guidance and permission to do this, but how do we do it?
Do you know, as far as like, we have a Memorial Day event every year at the courthouse. Have you talked to Jay Kendall about the size of the crowd that brings in?
No, I'm not. We've talked about a lot of things, but that's one subject we have not.
Because I know that it's a well-attended, and that's one that people know about. It happens every year, so.
It's on the 30th.
It's on Memorial Day.
On
Yeah.
the 30th, yes, okay.
Yeah. So, and I don't know how many people typically come to that annually. I think, Todd, where you've
Yeah, I'd
been.
say it's close to 200 for there.
Really?
last time.
And where do they have all the people from there when they do
They
that?
didn't block anything off, they used the courthouse main steps.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody on the lawn, but, and then just kind of crowded up the sidewalk.
One of our thoughts is, how long did somebody speak? When they-
That entire thing probably took at least 40 minutes, because
That's
the
what we're
honor
about.
guard's there too.
Yeah.
You know, they-
We're hoping about 40 minutes.
Right, because I'm thinking that that's kind of a similar event that, and that they don't block off any of the roads for that.
No, but the thing is, I think the 12th, that's gonna fall on the second Saturday too.
Yes, and I'm working with Second Saturday people.
So, I mean, you're gonna already have 5th Court.
Yeah, we don't, for second Saturdays, we haven't been utilizing Court Street at all.
You have-
We still block it off just because of people traveling through, and we have kids on Fifth Street. So those will definitely be blocked off no matter what. But I do know that all of Court Street is not going to be used by us on second Saturday.
You could cone off some parking spots if you wanted to, too. I mean, that's no issue. And since second Saturday's going on, you could just pull those cones
Second
back.
Saturday starts at 5.
Oh,
Ours is in the morning.
Yeah.
Ours is in the morning. Ours is from 11 to about 2. The museum will be open until 5. And I think that the museum also stays open late for second Saturday. So they're going to be open all day for people to go in and view it. We have a special World War I exhibit that's been up for about a year. So, and it's going to be revised to emphasize women at that point.
Yeah, with East Main being a state highway,
Yeah.
it's not that it can't be closed down, but it's something that also needs state approval. If it were to be something that we're like, yes, that's something that needs to be done, and you had local approval, then you'd have to then take it also to the state and get the state to
Is there
approve
enough
it.
time to do that, or to ask that?
I don't know, and I mean, and honestly, I don't know that it's necessary for the crowd size that you're thinking of. to close East Main.
So what would, let me see if I can understand it, so I understand how we do that. The monument is right there on the corner, and we want a crowd to be around it when they do the unveiling and speak from that point. So what your thought is that people would stand around that area. And my concern is that we have a lot of people who are elderly that may want to attend this, that will not want to stand, they'll need to sit, especially people in wheelchairs and that want to come to this too. So that was my thought as well, is to have a place for them to sit. My other concern was with the issues of terrorism, that having a place like this open with a lot of people and you've got fast traffic, not only terrorism, but an accident, somebody going off from that street that can go pretty fast, that there may be a chance somebody gets hit. And I certainly wouldn't want to do that for an occasion such as this, or any occasion, really. So I was concerned about safety as much as I am about self-promotion.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is, as far as the proximity to the state road, is that if the road is open, I would imagine those parking spots will be filled up with cars, which does provide a bit of a barrier between the traffic and the people on the sidewalk. The sidewalks are pretty wide there. I know that we've had other stuff on Second Saturday where we've had events in that corner.
Oh, yeah, we've had
People have stood
multiple, I mean,
around and-
you can easily fit 100 and some people just around that corner without
Oh,
even
that
like
corner, okay.
being shoulder to shoulder.
Okay.
I would just venture to guess at an event like this, you're gonna have people kind of filtering in and out.
Okay.
I mean, to get a gathering of 300 or 500 people at one time, I mean, if this was something that we knew was gonna happen and there was definitely gonna be that many people.
Yes.
But it sounds like an awful lot of work for something that you could probably get away with it without even doing any more than what we normally do.
Yes.
And then having Court Street to where we have, as much room as you're asking for on the front without going through all the process of blocking roads off. Just,
Now, can we, let's see, the parking, I guess I'm trying to understand, the parking that is on Main Street, that we don't let cars park there, we use that parking space for people to stand?
Now, we have done where you could blockade the parking spots.
I would almost want to have the civil defense guys put a car down there with lights on it. If we're going to do that.
just have them directed around it for the 45 minutes.
You have to get it off of that, get the cars, I mean, we got the bike lane too, which is,
That would,
but I mean, I would want to make sure they stayed well south of that bike, you know what I mean?
that would be my fears. If we use the parking spots on Main Street and set people on there, then there's no barrier for them and the cars going down the road.
You're using the cars as your barrier.
Well, not necessarily that. There could be barricades up and people don't have to park cars there.
Okay, yeah.
But we're talking about having, like, emergency managers just kind of like directing traffic for that 45 minutes around that to keep, so where that could be utilized for people to stand in that spot. I mean, is that something that makes sense, Todd? If that was barricaded off, people could stand there and then have the traffic directed around that for that 45 minutes
Just close the main driving lane,
off of that one side?
right, so that the guy have to move over and use the other lane.
I mean, with enough, notice a car sitting here, people directing them around it, I think that makes more sense than going through a state level to shut a highway down.
Yeah, okay.
Can we do all of that, just city level?
Well,
Yeah.
I know that when I've talked to NDOT before about how restrictive it is if we want to have events and stuff on 19, depending on the restriction and depending on where, they said that it typically would be something that they would be okay with, as long as they're given a heads up and they know what's going on. But I've never gone through the actual process with them to do it because we've never closed down 19 before. I know as far as, because I talked to them about taking out some of those parking spots along 19 to do extended seating in front of maybe possibly some of the restaurants down there.
Yes.
And I said, is that something that the city could do? And once again, they said, that's something that you need to coordinate with us, but it's possible. So this is all theoretical. It takes coordination with the state. What exactly they're going to be wanting as far as permission, I can't say because I haven't asked for permission like that before.
Well, I think what Kristen said, would we have to go to that level if we just had emergency management help direct traffic for that 45 minutes during the unveiling, and then open the roads right back up to like they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, then the people disperse.
Right.
They move over on, and now, is it a problem to have Broadway closed?
The whole thing,
Or however you feel comfortable?
I think the same thing, that we would be talking about having just one lane blocked off and having the traffic direct around it for that 45 minutes, then open everything back up once people disperse from the event.
Yeah.
And then the space, the street, is that West Fifth, between the museum and the courthouse?
Those can easily be blocked off. They're already gonna be blocked off that day anyway.
So we're okay
Starting
with
at
that.
3, we can just make that earlier in Court Street the same way.
So what we're doing is we're doing temporary events and then moving people down, and the festive area is between the museum and the courthouse on Fifth Street.
And Court Street would be available as well.
Oh, I see, so we can wrap it around the back. if we
Yeah,
come up with-
because those get blocked off for every second Saturday anyway.
I see.
And Todd
Okay,
brings
so
the
those-
stuff down, we
those-
just slide the
okay.
barricades over.
Right, those two areas. And the other two would be our temporary, so we set up somebody on both sides and we have multiple speakers, and we get through it as quick as we can, then they just push themselves down and walk themselves down.
And I don't know who we contact. I mean, Mr. Moon could probably help with that part of it.
I can help take care of that.
Okay, let me give you my card, and then, however, I'll need to coordinate with somebody so I understand, and I relay it to other people, and before the event, I want to have a sit down and make sure everybody understands what's happening, and who's in charge, and who to go to for emergencies, things like that.
Yeah. And Todd, would that make sense to go ahead and block off those parking spots
Yeah.
on Broadway and Main Street in front of the courthouse?
We kind of do that when we paint, we'll move a whole lane over and we'll split the oncoming lanes that they can, and we'll make the oncoming lane, like the southbound lane would then become 2 lanes. And we just direct traffic, we cone it out, we just move a lane over, and it's pretty easy to do.
Yeah.
And I can go down there, be there if they want us.
And I would say that anything we do decide with 19,
Yeah.
we have to notify the state what we're doing, and I don't think that they would have an issue with that, but I would put the caveat that if the state or an NDOT decide, no, we don't want you blocking a lane of traffic or whatever issue they might have, that it ultimately, we have to follow
That's right.
if they have an
Oh,
issue with
I understand
it.
that, yeah, that's right. So, okay, and that's really what I want to do, is to ask your opinion and get your advice and understand rules and do the proper thing, so.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, as far as security, we have the second Saturdays and like the open house downtown during November. The downtown draws quite a crowd. So, yeah, I'm comfortable with, as far as like crowd security, our abilities to take care of that. As far as security for individuals that would come, if they required security, that would be on them.
That changes a little bit. If I get a senator or a governor or something like that.
Right, that wouldn't be up for us to coordinate the security. They might
Yeah.
contact our local to coordinate some kind of security, but that would really be on whoever required it. I don't know, Steve, if there's anything you want to add or any opinion on that?
I think you're right. If we need to help, we'll obviously help. But if they have their own security, that's great also.
Yeah. Chief Hawk, did you have any input, any concerns?
Whatever they need, train system, whatever they need. So.
Yep.
Thanks.
So at this point, we already have Fifth. The only thing we'd probably have to do is block Fifth and Court Street off earlier than what our normal second Saturday is, because I think we start that at 3 or 3:30 is just an ongoing thing. So,
And Court Street, and coordinate with Larry and the commissioners.
Yes.
With Court Street.
Okay.
because one of the issues we do have is dispatch over there. Somebody's got to contact them because they park in that area. So blocking that off early, that's their
Steve,
means of in and
dispatch
out.
ain't there anymore.
Oh, they're not? Okay, well, then that's not an
Jail
issue.
now.
So that's not a concern at this point. So if people did, that will not be a parking place, or that would be a parking place?
Yeah, now you will run into the same thing we run into on second Saturdays. If there's a car parked on Court Street,
Yes.
trying to locate those people and get a hold of them to get it moved is obviously a difficult thing. We usually go down there an hour or so in advance, and as people leave, put
Okay.
barricades up and then try to get,
Put a sign up the day before that it,
I don't even know that
Try to.
you can do that. I don't know how that
Try it.
works.
Yeah,
I mean,
unless, I guess you warn them they're gonna get towed.
yeah, we
But
can't
that's-
tell them.
Yeah, no, we just
But
try
it's
to.
still public
get a-
street.
Yeah, get a hold of them and let them know.
The license, the plate would.
Typically, that's not too bad, but there are times that is, the day van
Yeah.
sits there,
Right,
which, I mean, if you can work around that, it's not a big deal. We've just done it to where we've had a van there and that van was right in the way.
right. And if you're coordinating with Jay Kendall, he should know
Yes.
and be able to have a heads up on whether or not the van's there. But no, as far as there being cars there, like when, there's a limited amount of places open in that time. And I know you've ran to places looking for, hey, is this your car
Whose
out
car is
there?
this? Can we move it?
You basically go hunting for them and ask them, do you want to know who this car is? Because we need to close the
And the
road.
museum's gonna be the biggest one, but if you're working with them, they can obviously move their cars out of the way,
Yeah,
put the
they do
barricades
that
back up.
too, So, sure, yeah, all right. Okay, thank you. Is that good for now? And then you'll get back to me and we'll create a new map is what we'll do.
Okay. So we're talking about directing traffic for one lane on on East Main and was that North Broadway?
Westbound.
Yeah, westbound on East Main and to be northbound on North Broadway, one lane closest to the courthouse. And Dave, you think EMA?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and get it on our schedule.
Okay, I was gonna say, we probably see if we have officer available too to help direct traffic.
We can park we can arrow it with our van, and we'll have arrow on that truck then too, we'll just come up that day.
Okay.
People sit there and arrow the traffic over, if they want to do, if we do this,
Mhm.
we'll be able to, with the problem.
Okay.
And then the only other thing we'd have to do is get the request to shut the roads down early that afternoon.
Right.
Morning or whatever.
And Todd, can you, because I know you're in contact with NDOT the most, give them a heads up on what we're talking about here, so that we don't get sideways with them.
They come better, they already are.
So we covered what you,
I think we're over there. I just want to, yeah, I think I've cleared, what we'll do is we'll do a map. I'll come up one day and somebody will sit down with me and we'll get a map and then we'll, that way I know where everything is. I can begin to tell people this is what we're planning for. This is the area where people are moving from this place to this site.
Mhm.
That kind of thing. So, yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Thank you very much for
Yeah,
your time.
thank you for putting this packet together for us. That was really easy for us to look at, and thanks for taking the time to come talk
Looking
with
forward to it. I
us.
hope we can bring a lot of people here because I'm going down to Howard County and something to come on up. And
Yep.
we're working with the Military Foundation down there and they've got a lot of veterans that are very interested in coming. So
It sounds like a very interesting event, so thanks for bringing that here.
thank you so much.
thank you. Todd, as far as bringing the van with the arrow, would you bring that onto the courthouse block or the previous block? Which one?
Well, I think we'll have an arrow on the truck then too, on the way.
And all of our cars have arrows.
Yeah, so, well, yeah, we could
So like
put
my
an arrow.
thoughts are, they
Well, your
would have
car's got overheads
Truck right
too.
here.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Directing
could just,
you around.
we could
Right.
just
Then
put
emergency
the arrow
management vehicle
vehicles,
sitting here.
yeah,
And then this would
And
be
you could
just
just arrow that
barricaded off when
to the
emergency
west,
management
Yeah.
over
vehicles come
on
onto
this
that one.
side, then you
Yeah.
could arrow it to
People
the
coming here
south.
kind of
over
go
on
out
this
and
side,
around,
yeah.
Right.
or go out and around. This just basically is
And
one
you
lane
could,
here
we
and
could
one lane
just
here.
stack it with
Yeah.
cones and make a.
And I mean, honestly, there's a
Yeah.
good chance that they'll be able to fit the people on the side.
And then we don't have to worry about it.
People
Right.
at each end.
And then if they block off the parking spots, people can stand in there and your cars are still way out around them.
Mhm.
I don't see that being a problem. And it's 45 minutes long.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, do I have a motion? Well, before I do that, is there any other questions from the board?
No, I think it's more of emergency management and Todd. And then whoever we have to go through far as to let the state know, yes, we're going to be doing this, or is it okay, I guess, if we do this?
Mm-hmm.
And is that something that you do?
I'll just call them and tell them we want to restrict the lane for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
just about like,
Painting roads?
yeah, it's about like paint roads. I don't think they'll say much.
Okay. All right. Is there any other comment, questions from the public? Okay. Do I have a motion for the restriction on lanes approval as described.
Contingent on state agreement.
Right.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. And
Got one last.
we'll get back with you and let you know after we get all of our relevant information, if we hear anything back from state.
Okay, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Wolf. You have a sign placement?
Yeah, the Lord's Fellowship, they're at the corner of Adams and Hay, over there on the other side of Stevens Appliance. They want, the pastor there, Bob Engel, they approached us at the traffic department wanting directional signs of their own. They wanted to put them up themselves, pay for them and install them. And they want to put them at the corner of Hay Street and Washington, which is right there by, they would have to put it on the west side of Stevens in the, I think Dollar General owns that lot now. And then at the corner of Adams and North Broadway, and they're either side there. I went down and looked at it. If they get out of our right of way, they're fine. There's going to be no restriction as far as sight, line of sight. But in my opinion, they're going to have to, as far as the city's concerned and the traffic department, yeah, there'll be no restriction, no problem. But they are going to have to contact these property owners because I really didn't want those church signs in our right of way. Just,
Right.
you know, you never know what may happen. So, but yeah, there's no problem as far as line of sight, but they will, I've informed them, I'll call them if the board approves that, has no problem with it. But they will have to get the permission from the landowners, and if the landowners don't want it, then they're out of luck, so.
Yeah. Well, and once again, I think this kind of falls into planning with the sign ordinances, because it's going to be a sign as like any other. If it were to be a sign like I think they have in mind, as far as close to the road and directing traffic, that's more of like a wayfinder sign that we've purchased and done. And I mean, I don't know about putting up wayfinder signs throughout city for different people that would like them for their organization or business.
The biggest it could be would be, I would suggest, not very big.
Well, and it's going to fall, I mean, it's going to fall under the signed ordinance. And obviously, the property owners are going to have to be okay with a sign going up on their property, and it'll have to conform to other sign, I don't,
We'll have to look at what's the restriction for putting it on private property. I mean, other than the size of the sign and all that, if somebody wants to put it on their private property, that's a little bit different than putting it on public property, so.
Well, I know within the sign ordinance, it has the setbacks and the height requirements and stuff like that. And also, I believe there's materials requirements on what kind of materials you can have to erect a sign. But I think all of that's going to have to be something that goes through Stephanie.
Yeah, can you pass that up to her and put it on the agenda for the next meeting?
Yeah,
It'll be last Tuesday.
yeah. But like I said, as far as anything, a sign, like kind of a public information type sign, you're talking about like more of like a wayfinder sign.
Yeah.
And the wayfinder signs are uniform throughout the city and planned through a 5-year plan of where they're at and in which amenities are targeted through that. So, I'm going to refer you to Planning Commission really, unless there's something else that, from the board.
No,
That-
No, it doesn't sound like there's.
sounds like it's more them than us.
Yeah, I think so.
I'll let them know.
Okay. All right, and we also have tonight a request for hiring of Tyler Schaffner from the police department. Mr. Hoover, would you like to talk to us about that?
The pension board is asking for approval to hire Tyler Schaffner. This would be contingent upon his enrollment into the PERF. He's already taken his public safety exams. We are expecting to hear back from PERF any day. So this is simply a request to keep the ball moving. We're thinking that we will hear back from PERF prior to the next Board of Works meeting. So we're asking that he be hired contingent on PERF's approval.
Okay. Is he a local kid?
Yes, he's a Mechanical graduate. He attended Ivy Tech in Kokomo, studied health sciences. He's currently employed at Caterpillar since 2010. He's married and has 2 children.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you, Steve. Is there any questions from the board or?
See this? No, the questions I have are already in this piece of
Oh,
paper.
gotcha.
It was in my agenda.
Gotcha.
So we're looking at a start date prior to April 1st, is that what you're thinking?
That's what we're hoping.
Okay.
How many positions do we have open in the 2?
2.
Is there any other questions from the board? Is there any questions, comment from the public? Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the hiring of Tyler Schaffner, contingent on the approval from PERF?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, the motion passes. Thank you, Steve. And I believe that is all that we have on tonight's agenda for this. We do have another meeting. It is scheduled for 5:45, and I believe that's what it was published at. So we won't be starting that until 5:45. Give everybody a chance to come that might want to be attending that meeting. It is 5:37. So we can go ahead and adjourn this meeting, and we'll be starting up again at 5:45, just so everyone's clear.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn the regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.